Alrighty, it is Friday the 16th of July, 2021. SPY little down day today, down 0.78%. A little bit of a sell-off just from those all-time highs. Some market internals for dollar volume across the different markets. NASDAQ, $199 billion volume today. NYSE at $258 billion volume. OTC markets, $1.8 billion across the spectrum. So yeah, a little bit of a sell-off in this week in total on the SPY. Chris actually noted a little bit of similarity between this week and the week prior to the COVID crash of 2020. So you can see that starting the week off, pretty nice green day, a little bit of an all-time high test and then pull back, all-time high touch, hard pullback, and then just continual sell-off and hard sell-off to end the week here. And then if we go back to February 24th, this is the first day of that epic meltdown. And if we kind of look at this whole week right here, take out that, you can see all-time high tests here, same kind of thing, a little bit of a reject, hard reject in this Thursday, but kind of pull back, but then similar sell-off and continue to push into a huge drop down over that weekend into the next Monday, and that would kick off that huge fall off. So we'll see if history kind of doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes in a similar fashion to this COVID fall. That'll be quite the case study or chart pattern match if that does happen, but we'll certainly keep a watch on it. No trades for me today. Just no real short setups that I liked, nothing really long. That was intriguing me. No real big movers on my scanners at all that I liked, but GLG was a huge mover pre-market. It was the biggest mover this whole morning session. Kind of crazy, just really out of nowhere. It's a 70 million float. It's a Chinese company. They've got 0.07% reported short interest. I was just for fun. I kind of looked at the borrow fee in order to short this around this time frame when it was retesting VWAP, and it was like a cent a share. It wasn't anything crazy, so maybe that was to me that, or that was maybe a little bit of an indicator to me that this wasn't a short squeeze move at all. Just some supply underneath, or buyers coming underneath for some reason. Thought it was holding kind of well as it came back to VWAP here. Maybe could have done something more if SPY was turning green today, but ended up fading the rest of the day. Awesome dip and rip opportunity on that one from the morning if you were able to catch shares off of this consolidation and hold within that risk level there. Just a pure green spike. Not an incredibly quick mover, or as it was coming on the downside of the peak, it was becoming more choppy in regards to the level 2 price action, but certainly more readable than a lot of other listeds or NASDAQs that I've seen this past week. SGLC, big dumper, was spiking pretty nicely in the pre-market, but then just continued to dump off. Lots of big dumpers across the spectrum today in recognized names, in recent runner names, and then also just the kind of overall market as well. Of course, just seeing SPY there too. Then it reclaimed. Big move, found a base around this 10.5 area. Climbed back up, found another base around 11. Continued to rise on back to VWAP. Chop away every single other person, but now closing pretty strong here. Could see some gap ups tomorrow. It's obviously still down pretty hard if we're looking at the total week of that peak, but it's not dying off in any way, shape, or form. It's finding some key levels here at 1050, the same as yesterday as well too. So could get some more crazy squeeze action if shorts are still thinking this thing is going to go down over the weekend. I certainly would not want to be holding this short over the weekend. Could be very interesting coming next week if we want to see some more rising or squeezing action on that one. The shares per trade today on SJOC, I haven't been keeping track of it in these past days. 164 shares per trade on average today, which comes out to like $2,000 position size on average per trade. Had a total trades of 234,000, which is very nice today. Certainly keep an eye on that for the upcoming week. Zila, what an awesome and kind of out of nowhere pre-market move. Just started rising and climbing, no news once again. A little bit of a tease to dip and rip when it wanted to just start fading along with everything else, and then finding a little bit of a base. And I know a bunch of other people in the chat nailed this to the upside when they were able to find some position or some sanity here. Even this red candle here fail off of the VWAP touch would have scared me out if I had a position. Getting in after this red candle, bottom wick opportunity on that one. But geez, trade was there again. Hard one to totally grasp or get a handle on where the direction is for the day, but trade opportunity was there in the morning, but then faded the rest of the day. Double top here, test of VWAP was the nail in the coffin. VERB, another one that just kind of faded. Had a decent amount of volume from yesterday. I think I had this one. Yeah, I had this one on long watch. I didn't trade it, of course, from yesterday, looking for this move. Saw some great movement here in the early pre-market today. Just faded off into the bell. Didn't really do much. As Mark Crook said on this one, you either had to be short overnight on this one to take any profits really in the morning, which was a totally risky setup, and you had to take on so much loss beforehand to see anything come to fruition out of that overnight short. But yeah, interesting one in that one, especially this daily with a little bit of technical resistance it's still dealing with from the past here. MRIN, former runner, huge runner. On the downside of this, obviously, looking at all these red days here, had news they had an offering yesterday, which of course was this huge dump. They generated less revenue this quarter two as compared to the 2020 quarter two, which is also not good news. Of course, all the overhead resistance from this previous spike was a big push, but then today it just kind of started spiking out of nowhere. This is a 9 million float, and it's got a 44% reported short interest on that 9 million. So yes, you could call this a morning dump, but I certainly wasn't going to use my day trade or risk my capital on this setup with just how weird it's been in the past. And yeah, I do not want an entry with this daily. Of course, I like that it has overhead resistance, but if it's still squeezing this easily in this low, I don't want to catch a rising knife in that way, if that makes sense. And this really isn't the morning dump pattern that I've been trading in the past videos as well either. But obviously the pattern worked out well today. Could have got short anywhere in this pre-market and made out like a bandit here anytime during the market hours. Lisa was another one. I think he's a former runner. I kind of remember that ticker. What it did in the past. Overhead resistance was nice. Not really a ideal morning dump, if you could consider this. Waking up around this time frame, I would have probably gotten here. If I was watching it here as the initial entry, had to cut, been forced to cut with this pre-market high, push through, maybe potentially would have gotten in again had I been up this early, which I wasn't going to on a Friday, which is one of the least potent morning dump opportunity days of the week. But produced the entry again with that really vertical VWAP line there. 10% was there the rest of the day if you were holding. Of course, taking on that little bit of risk. Not the most ideal, not the most comfortable. This one. The news was they announced a partnership with automotive technology company for the catalyst. They got a float of 12.6 million. Reported short interest of 20%, which does kind of scare me out a little bit too. And 12 million, yeah, we want to be looking ideally above 40 with a pretty big spike in order to get short on the downside. And of course, I wasn't even awake to try and trade this today, but that's another one that worked out pretty well. Not ideal, but worked out. And it's the identification and seeing them today that is really what we're looking for as we're continuing to learn and grow as traders. YVR today. So this is one we're kind of keeping heavy. The stats of the average shares per trade, average dollar size per trade, did nothing today. Just, I mean, down 15% obviously from the close yesterday, but just totally non-volatile. You could call this a move, but not really, as it pulls back right away, back under VWAP. So 14th of this month, it had, so this day here, averaged 400 shares per trade, which was roughly $625 per trade. The 15th averaged of 535 shares per trade, which was equated to like $1,100 per single trade. Now today we're looking at back right down to the 400 mark, 426 shares per trade, but still in the $900 average dollar volume per trade on today's move. So really have no idea what that means. It's obviously fallen off of the average dollar size per trade from yesterday. Don't really know if that's a good thing. Don't really know if the shares per trade, as it's correlating back to this day, it means it's a good thing, or this, even if it's holding these technical levels well, if it still has got more room to run on the daily. Just kind of interesting. I'll keep track of it, and I think it's pretty fun to keep track of that type of stuff. LCLP decided to have an awesome, nice day today, up 70% today. God, I saw it around this point, the first few minutes of the market open, thinking, man, I should just buy it, hold it the rest of the day. I think it's just going to go green for this type of play. When it fails to break that previous day close, previous day low, this thing's just going to start squeezing. There's going to be more shorts trying to get bagged in at every little peak turn here. Yeah, and I'm nowhere near data equipped enough to try and take a trade like that, especially on an OTC, but the move was there today. This was an awesome update, and that trade thesis really would have worked. It's a 245 to 20. That's 80% trade opportunity. 25 to 40 is my math right on that? Something like that. Awesome ticker. Good to see that OTCs are still producing that, or at least we have one OTC still putting in double-digit percentage moves, triple-digit percentage moves 2 days ago on that one. Great to see. Did YVR. RCAT. So RCAT was the one, oh wow. Fall off here. I wonder if they had news. July 16. Okay, just released an offering. Can't see the amount. So obviously this was heavily manipulated. This was the one a few videos back I was looking at first green day short on this day. Got squeezed out at the 4.4-ish level as it was cracking here. Held pretty well, started climbing higher again on this day, Thursday. Holding started selling off a little bit, but did not break that previous day low or those technical levels. Started holding and climbing well, squeezing the close on that day. Today just ripping, and they obviously did that to their advantage in all knowingness of as they're releasing the offering now. So this play is kind of over, but you could see the manipulation on that one today as proven in the offering. AEHR, again, same thing, hard red candles. That's funny correlation. They had, did these guys have news? AEHR's got an 18 million float. They had good earnings as of yesterday after the market close, reporting return to above pre-pandemic levels in their fourth quarter of fiscal 2021. So it's a 70% revenue growth year over year for fiscal 2022. Of course, they're in the electrical vehicle sector. Just had a hard sell-off out of nowhere. Wasn't really tempted for trading this. Wasn't really tempted by this pre-market as it's just chopping around, holding lower, declining VWAP. No real opportunity to get in. Short indecisive squeezes. Looks like it's consolidating. Big wicked candles all along the way. I think a few other people were getting long around these levels in the chat, looking for a squeeze beyond that breakout level and beyond this technical level on the daily. And then just out of nowhere, kablooey, completely hit this thing with, what's this candle say? 2.9 million shares traded in this 1 minute candle. Pretty insane how quickly that thing dumped. Really out of nowhere. Just crazy to see, but a great reminder to always be on your toes, and maybe a reminder that if you're trading a small enough size, that stops kind of maybe your friend in order to get out. I wasn't watching this when it happened, but I could imagine how quickly this thing could have moved on a panic move, and how stuck I would have been if I had an actual trade on this bad puppy with the same type of breakout thesis. Yeah, interesting move on that one. And then SXTC. So pretty nice moves in the market open, or in the morning, I should say. No real news catalyst I can see for it. 11.9 million float, 5% short interest. I think Chris was talking about it in the afternoon, how well it was holding as well. Interesting thing I saw on this one as well too, 228,000 trades, which is pretty interesting. It equates to 514 shares per trade. Of course, it's a little over $1,000 per trade on average, but you would expect it's just kind of wondrous to see all these little consolidations, or how well it was holding this range, I should say, and for the amount of trades that were going on, and how it's now faded and fallen pretty hard under VWAP in this after hours. Just an interesting ticker. I mean, look at this huge volume candle standing by itself on the daily. Not even close to anything else these past 2 years. Jeez, wow. Of course, there's a little bit of overhead resistance, but I'll keep this one on watch. It's interesting. It piques my interest. So that's all I got today. Again, no real trades. Saving my mental capital, saving SPY, saving my head, and looking to continue to attack short setups in the pre-market the next upcoming week. No real signs have told me any different that those trades are changing at all, even though, you know, this week we took 3 losses on those morning up setups. We took 2 real losses, 1 winner. Ending the week up $38 still. This month of July, we're still up $476. So not complaining at all. It's not, even though it's considered a slow month of July, I still feel like there's plenty of opportunity to keep me intrigued, and it's certainly still inspiring to think that, okay, I'm still seeing opportunity and being involved in what everybody else is making opportunities on, even in what's considered a slow market. So yeah, we'll keep our eyes glued to SPY, see what it wants to do. If the top has finally been put in and we're due for a hard pullback with all this inflation garbage. But yeah, we will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.